Alright guys, we've got a little bit of a different shave today with a morning shave. And it's kind of 1.5 days of growth since I used this same outfit last time. And I'm going to reuse it because I want to give the soap another shot. And I also want to see how the Rapira does in this. Last time I shaved it was with a 2-day growth, and so this is a 1.5, and so it's not that much different, but let's just use it anyway. I looked in my records, and the Admiral soap, the Icarus base, the last time I used it, as I put my boar back in the water, get it soaking for a few more minutes while I prep other stuff. Admiral soap really required more than my standard 20 to 30 second load, and I was guessing that it was because it was a soap that I hadn't used in a very long time, but it turns out that just seems the way that Icarus is. So while we let the brush soak, I've taken apart my razor. We're going to put the Rapira Platinum Luxe, which is a blade that is not one that does a lot for me in other razors. But I'm trying out newer, younger blades in this mild Wolfman. This is a WR1, and it is a 0.46 gap. So here's the Rapira blade, and this will be its third use, so it's still very young. And this mild gap razor, I think, is just, might be picky enough to where I need to use young blades, similar to how a lot of guys think they have to throw away a blade after 5 uses or something. And I think that's just the way this guy might be. Because he's so mild, I think he needs that extra edge, and that being smoothed out takes that edge away from the right angle. Maybe it's a negative exposure razor head, to where if you draw a line between the top cap, the outer edge of the top cap, and the outermost edge of the base plate, and something like that, then the edge of the blade doesn't actually break that plane. That means it's negative exposure. And so that means that may be what this razor is. I need to check it out sometime for sure. We do have my usual 3D printed lather bowl. Got plans for that in the description. You can go to sugardaddyshaves.com and see people, viewers like you, that have printed them up using online services, if you don't happen to have a 3D printer, which many of us don't. All right, so let's just go for it with a 50-second lather, a 50-second load, and we'll see what happens. All right, we'll start at the 30-second mark. Oh, the smell on this is just amazing. The smoke. So we're going to go to the 20-second mark on the next minute. We're definitely going to get some overflow here, because I did shake out a good bit of the water, but as you can see, there was more in the brush for sure. 20 more seconds. Just medium pressure. 10 more seconds. And there we go. And that is a lot of extra. You can do your own stuff with that extra. If you want to put it back in your bowl, you can. If it's just a little bit, then it's not really going to help you out too much, because it's mostly water. It's just a little bit of soap. But I use it kind of to pre-wash and get a nice dose of the scent. Man, That's a and then I'll rinse this afterwards during the break here. Find a dry spot where I can press the pause button. I do have a few soaps, as you can see I've rinsed this off, that don't have the higher end glossy labels. This is not one of them. This is a nice waterproof label, and I never thought that mattered too much until it came time to rinse off the sides of the puck, because I don't want that soap buildup around the threading. Eventually that will make taking the cap on and off problematic. And then I realized, wait a minute, yeah, I need to rinse that tub. And so the few makers that can't quite afford yet to put good labels on the bottoms of their products, that's the one and only time I've thought that I'd really prefer the nicer labels. I've seen a few people review products and mention the waterproof labels, and at first I thought, why is that important? So we have started off loading for twice as long as I did the last shave. Let's hope that I have a more normal lather today. Went ahead and put 2 teaspoons of water in pretty quickly, and as you can see, it's very bubbly, but that's totally normal. You can play around with your own soaps and see if you get a different result from adding water slowly or quickly. I did have one record of a 60-second load that I did with this soap, and so, or at least the Icarus base. And so who knows, I may have to go back still. Maybe I should have played it safe and gone for 60. Yeah, that's solidifying nicely. The water is not loose in the lather anymore. You can see it's gotten some firmness to it. With that firmness, let's just add some more water. Obviously, you can decide where you want your hydration level to be. You may like it to be a little like those peaks to kind of stand up and be firm, have kind of a jaggedy appearance. You can definitely see how it's starting to soften up now. I hadn't used Icarus in so long that I think I forgot that it required longer load times. So it's obviously not as concentrated of a base as something like Stirling, chiseled face, the original tallow chiseled face, not the silk tallow. And see, we've still got a little, as I've integrated that water, you can see we've still got a little bit of rigidity there. It's continuing to get absorbed into the soap. And this is when I start thinking it's probably about time to quit. Now that I've put 3 teaspoons in, that's when most soaps will cause me to say, you know what, if it still looks kind of rigid like that, that might be a soap base that just needs me to keep it that way and not take it too far. So I added a half a teaspoon instead of a whole teaspoon. And I think let's just roll with this. If I add more water during the shave, then I'll just do that. Rinse time. And we've got kind of cool water. Lately we've had a weather downturn with temperatures, and even though it's spring, so the groundwater is pretty chilly right now. So this knot still has a, yeah, see, look, the soap is kind of abandoning ship from the middle of the knot there. Did I put too much water in it again, or not load enough soap? Did I make a note previously that I need to run this guy a little thicker than usual, and I just didn't pay attention to that? Let's thicken up what's on my face with a few seconds on the tub. To combine with the really wet stuff on my face and the moisture in the brush. I'm glad I quit when I did. Now, it would have worked. This is a good soap base, and so it would have given me slick performance, but this is one of my favorite soap bases, and I probably like the Bison base a little bit better than Icarus for this reason. Bison's more concentrated, and I never had this problem with Bison. Yeah, see, we're good now. Icarus just takes more product. And I guess I hadn't really noticed that yet. That hadn't really shown up in my experience, or at least I was taking the notes, but not putting it together that this base needed more product. Kind of like, holy cow. Chiseled face soap tallow. That one needs a ton of product. So I think we've spent enough time working it into my face so my skin has been impregnated with the lather, help it to protect my skin. I like to use impregnated because it reminds me, back in the military, we had to prepare with gas mask gear, and a lot of the gear and the filters and things like that, they said charcoal impregnated, to filter out the chemical badness of the chemical agents or whatever. All right, so let's test out that Rapira Platinum Luxe again in the 46 WR1. It did well the first time, but with the 2 days of growth, I got some tugging, and I'm not getting that now. I was happy with the shave that I got in the last shave, and so this may be proving my point of, if I'm going to use blades in this mild razor, they need to be some that just have that extra keen edge. reading on the forums yesterday, and I saw a post where the guy had I don't know, 200 times microscope picture of the edge of two different blades. And it was neat to see how they had different bevels. You could tell that one maybe had 4 bevels on it, and another one had maybe just 3 or 2. And it just goes to show you that's how they vary the blades. That's how one blade can chafe differently than another. One blade can preserve its sharpness for quite a long time, while another one can't. But maybe because that edge is so fragile, it cuts really well for a few shaves. I think that's kind of what people attribute to feather in many cases. But very comfortable first pass. I felt the hair being cut. It wasn't like butter, but it wasn't anything like uncomfortable or anything like that. It was just a nice shave feeling. And so this, if I get the same performance that I got yesterday, I'll be very happy with this razor and blade combo. And since my soap, my lather was too wet coming from the tub here, coming from the bowl, I did dab my face dry. Well, not my goatee. I did dab my face dry with a towel to help the rinse water not contribute to an even drier lather, wetter lather. Cross grain now. My cheeks grow in a pretty normal, pretty average way with, from top to bottom. So that means my cross grain is an actual across the face. If your cheek and face hair in these regions grows sideways like some guys do, and your cross grain will look different. That's my trouble spot, so I like to touch it up with a little bit of extra lather. And a rinse. And the scent here on this soap just continues to be around me and a part of the shave. So yeah, it looks like maybe as I'm putting on this third pass, and I've got just a little bit left in the bowl, I probably should have done a 60-second load. Now, if I used a brush that wasn't as soft as this one, I might not need to go as long, but to be honest, this is not super soft. It's still quite young at like 53 uses or something like that. After the first pass, I had a really nice feel on my face as I was doing the rinses. So we're definitely getting a nice close cut even from the beginning. And I don't even feel too many hairs being cut at all right now. Very smooth. When I make my face convex like that, I can feel the edge, but sometimes I can't. So it feels very comfortable. Really nice. In this area right here, that's an against the grain pass right there. This stroke here. And this is just such a nice, mild and sharp combo. Very rarely can I do that, but This razor can do it. Because so many other razors aren't as mild as this. And so they just have a little too much aggression for me right there. Oh, the Admiral smells so good. I totally wouldn't mind a balm or a splash from that one. I used History 101 yesterday, or the last shave, and I love it. Really enjoy it. But my family's not quite keen on it, so I'm going to use a family-friendly balm today. This is Stirling Dunshire. And it's patterned after the Aquadigio, but the scent is not all that strong. It's nice, and but on my face it does disappear pretty quickly in terms of scent. However, I think that's just my own perceptions, because I'll have, family members give me a hug or something and they'll say, "Oh, you smell good," and it'll be hours after. So obviously it's still giving off a little bit of a scent. I think I've just grown, at that point I would have grown nose blind to it. All right. Very good. Nice kind of aquatic, fairly masculine, or unisex at least, and I like it. Very easy to wear. So I haven't shown this in a while, but when I take my brush, give it a good rinse in my bowl of water, and then I hold it like this, put it down in the sink and sling it left and right so that the water splash stays in the sink. And so then it's left looking like this. Pretty standard for a boar. I'll take it to my hanging towel here and just kind of do the Karate Kid thing, like painting. And I'll turn my wrist 90 degrees so that I'm getting it kind of from all directions. I don't really do circles or anything like that. I don't feel the need to do that. It might be fine. And I'm pressing reasonably hard, not super hard, but when it's the closest to my hand, more perpendicular, then it's getting bent most of the way. But that's okay. Wild boars are very rigid when they're dry. As you can see, they're very flexible when they're wet. And look at that nice big splay. This is the biggest I've ever seen this brush. And so we're giving him a workout with recent uses. And so the Semogue Owners Club does have a natural, see, it comes out of the handle at a certain angle around the edges. Obviously in the middle it's coming out straight, but they configure the knot that way so that it probably is easier to use in the very beginning. And also once you have used it a good bit, the splay, the bloom here is huge. It's kind of renowned for that. And so I am looking forward to the time when these tips are going to be split and the softness is just going to be nuts. It's very comfortable right now. We'll just keep using it. It does feel like it has a reasonable amount of density to it compared to mini bore brushes. And if this is a larger knot and feels like a larger knot than many of Semogue's other brushes. So I'm very happy with it, and I'm really happy to see that big old bloom, because that means more and more are coming out, laying open. Very nice. So we used 3.5 teaspoons of water for that 50-second load, and then I went back probably for another 5 seconds. So 55 seconds total. And yeah, if your brush empties out, but you feel like you have enough lather in the bowl, and it empties out like that, like I showed you, that center of the brush just didn't have any lather in it at all, and it doesn't really have too much on the sides. Sometimes it builds up on the sides, and you can just rotate it on your face so that you can put that side lather back in the center of your brush and keep going. That's normal for a good lather. But if, like this shave, it emptied out and there wasn't really anything on the sides, that was just a sign that I put too much water in for that quantity of soap that I loaded. It may have looked nice in the bowl, but it was, this soap base needs to be run a little drier, it looks like. And I'll try to remember to make a note of that and look at that note in future shaves. But do what I did. Just go back to the tub, and if you go for something like 10 seconds or longer, then sometimes what can happen is you overcompensate and you end up drying the soap on your face and getting it kind of cakey, and then you have to add more water. But that's why I usually do it in 5-second increments when I have to go back, because then that was just the right amount to match the little bit of excess water that was on my face and in that particular lather. And so from that point on, the lather was very nice. So that's one way to rescue a lather that's a little too wet. Now, most people don't have that problem. I'm the crazy guy who keeps getting his lathers too wet. Most people have the opposite problem. Admiral. Oh, now let's see how it smells after I've had Dunshire on me. It changed the smell. There's some pieces that I'm not picking up anymore, but I am picking up a light smoke. It's just a good scent. It's not quite as good after I've smelled Dunshire, but and I say that not because Dunshire's better in my mind, but because it's muting, because the nose factor, it's muting certain aspects of the Admiral that I do enjoy quite a bit. Uh-oh, I just discovered that I was recording and not recording when I thought I was. So who knows how this video is going to turn out. I just did a bit where I was mentioning how the head on this WR1, there's not a lot of room in there. And so it would be wise, I like to clean the pieces between after the shave, and it would be wise maybe to unscrew this a good bit to where there's some room, run some water through there to get those suds out after the shave, if you're not a person who likes to take it fully apart. But that'll be fine. To leave it, it's a high grade of stainless steel, and so it'll be fine until your next shave, if you're going to use it the next day, that sort of thing. And here is the Rapira Platinum Luxe and the Cyrillic writing or whatever that is on the back side. So that's the third shave with it. Feeling good. Face, total comfort. I didn't have any issues or irritation or tenderness. I was actually able to go kind of against the grain in my trouble spot here. Closeness is excellent. Very happy with this. Now, when is this going to fall off? When is this extra keenness going to stop? Who knows? Maybe we'll see. Will it just give me 5 shaves before, since it's such a mild razor? Will it give me about 5 shaves, 6, 8, before the edge drops off enough to where it's no longer right along the plane where it needs to be? Or could it be that the Rapira blades are just a touch wider, so they have a little bit more exposure, where your average blade is recessed a little bit more on the sides? And what by that I mean width this way. And so therefore, if a wider blade gets put in the razor, it's going to have a little bit more exposure than than narrower ones. I don't know. I don't have a micrometer. All right, good shave. Very happy with it. It's really funny. I don't know what I've said and what I haven't said because I was recording and not recording. Hopefully we got the important parts of the shave. I've definitely done recordings where what you got was all the breaks, between the shaves, and those are kind of funny sometimes. Well, that was tremendous. I have a world-class close first shave. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but kind of for me in this region, since I normally can't go against the grain, it's pretty accurate, just because it's such a rare time. So I got really nice in terms of closeness, and the cross grain patterns on my cheeks. I could go against grain if I wanted, but I get such a close shave with just a cross grain double pass there that I'm happy with that. And even after the first pass, I had such nice smooth feeling. So that first pass took care of a good bit of the stubble. And so it did a great job there on 1.5 days of growth. So it'd be even better on a normal, just a 24-hour cycle, right? So closeness and comfort was top. I have had smoother shaves by like the Fatip Gentile and a few other razors out there, maybe some of the low gap carves. And so just because this is a very mild, almost too mild Wolfman, doesn't mean that it is giving me the smoothest shaves. It all depends on other factors like geometry, how the blade is angled, where the base plate is, in relation to the blade edge and things like that. And so the carve A and double A, maybe even the B, are probably giving me a little bit smoother shaves than this one. All right. So the Stirling, as you can see, we've given it a few minutes and it's totally absorbed, and it's going to do a great job for me throughout the day. And I think we're good. I love the scent on this soap. Unfortunately, my lack of proper amount of soap loading didn't let the brush kind of give me as good feels as it usually does, because it was a little on the sparse wet side. But that's the only negative. The comfort was tremendous, and it looks like I have found a good blade for this razor, which is nice. So there we go. A little bit of learning today on the Icarus base, and I'll hopefully remember that in the future. Guys, take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and I hope that this shave has had something to help you out. Take care. Good day.